reading through the Bible, and we'll be beginning with chapter 2 and verse 4, which is a second account of creation. You notice that we discussed that in the beginning God created the heaven and earth. There is no time that is mentioned there. It just says that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, and then it says what was the process that he used. Now in chapter 2 verse 4 it says, "This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created." The word that is translated account here is Toledot. In Hebrew it has the idea of perhaps genealogy, but translated here account. There are 10 of these in the book of Genesis, and so they set apart 10 different groups according to Toledot. Oftentimes in the account of creation we hear of various theories. The Bible doesn't give any theory. Oftentimes you hear of a gap between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. Well, there is no gap. Everything is stated just as it was. In chapter 2 verse 4, this is another account of the creation. And notice it says that when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, no shrub of the field had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprung up. The Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to work the ground, but streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. This stream is an underground water source. It said, "The Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." Now this is a comment that we do not see in Genesis 1, that man was formed from the dust and then that God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So that is an additional fact that is presented. Then in verse 8, "Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. And the Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." Now that is an additional material now, that there is a garden, and the garden is called Eden, and in this garden there are these two trees. They are going to be very important. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden, and from there it divided. It had 4 head streams. Notice that the river divides into 4 parts. So this is a little different from when we try to locate the Garden of Eden and we speak about 4 rivers that go into the garden. These are from one river, it divides into 4. The name of the first is the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and onyx are also there. The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east side of Ashur. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Notice in the first and second rivers there is additional material to say where they are. But the Tigris and the Euphrates are so well known that there is no reason to add anything to them. Then we're told in verse 15, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat of it, you will surely die. The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Now, in the first account, in Genesis 1, we are told that God made them male and female. Here, we have a distinction that the man is made first, and then from man, the woman is made. In verse 19, now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the beasts of the field and all the birds of the air. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds of the air, and all the beasts of the field. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. And then there is a comment made in verse 24, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. The man and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. You notice here that the man has a rib, or whatever it is. We're not quite sure exactly what the word implies, but from that a woman is made. In Hebrew, man is ish. Woman is isha, which is the feminine form of ish. And so that is the way that she is designated, and it says she was taken out of man. Now this is a second creation account, and it gives us additional information that we did not have in Genesis 1.